It's now 6:39. We're going to call this meeting of the Concord Finance Committee to order, and we'll start with a roll call.
Thank you. Suresh Bhatia. Peggy Briggs.
Present. Remote.
Brian Conway.
Present.
Kathy Kukula.
Present.
Thank you. Eric Dahlberg.
Present.
John Garofalo.
Here.
Pat Geyer. Gerard Jansen.
Here.
Don Kupka.
Here.
Lindsay Liss.
Here.
Arlen Reed here. Paul Rodriguez. Kazi Sadruzaman. Sheree Tupel.
Here.
Lois Wassoff. We have a quorum.
Okay. Great. So the second item on our agenda is public comment. As a reminder, public comment is limited to up to 10 minutes with no more than 2 minutes allocated to any one speaker. Public comment is limited to items that are not on the agenda. Anybody in the room? And then Ryan, do we have anyone online raising their hand?
No.
There are two attendees online.
Okay, so the third item on our agenda is correspondence. We have 2 items under correspondence tonight. The first one in the packet is from Carlisle FinCom, and it's regarding the use of OPEB payments to fund reserves for capital expenses. Are there any comments or questions or anything people want to bring up about that correspondence? Okay. And the second item, and I think Jennifer and Ryan may be able to speak to this a little bit more, but there is a memo from Carrie regarding a projected over budget of around $500,000 on snow removal for fiscal year 26. I think we all understand why this is happening. And it sounds like, you're projecting out the budget overage of the $500,000, but we're already tracking to come in well over budget just based on payables. So, any questions in the room about this? I just had a couple of questions. Do you have any, I know the memo estimates that this most recent storm was going to cost approximately $100,000. Do we know what the cost was of this most recent storm?
I have not gotten the actuals yet. I'm sure their CPW's kind of worked on that, but they're also in the middle of snow removal. They're still in that. So that particular storm won't be closed out until that's complete.
Okay. And then, go ahead, Eric.
Is there any possibility of state or even federal reimbursement given the severity of the storm?
We thought so initially, because the governor did declare a state of emergency for Massachusetts, but Middlesex County, Upper Middlesex County, where we are, we haven't gotten word necessarily that has been an area of concern. So if and I think we would have heard by now if we were in that emergency section, and so no. Short answer. We were hoping when we heard that there might be. We were like, yay, let's keep track and everything, and no.
There's a better chance for Plymouth and Bristol County, but probably not for anything.
So I know there is a reserve fund that I guess FinCom can vote on, right, and maybe select board too, to release some reserve funds to cover something like this. But are there any plans to try to make up portions of this in year?
We have essentially 3 options. We can transfer funds from other places in the budget, which is what's been happening the last few years. Other surpluses have been added or transferred. We have the reserve fund, which is the $200,000, which is under the jurisdiction of the Finance Committee. We could use that as well as any other supplemental funds. So we need to come up with about $500,000. We can bring this forward as a transfer at town meeting. It's not on the warrant as such, but there is an article for FY26 transfers, so we could consider doing something there. And then the last resort, if we can't come up with surplus anywhere, is to raise it on next year's tax rate.
Jennifer, question on timing. If I remember correctly, when you use the reserve fund, that can be done after town meeting is done.
The reserve fund can be used from July 1 to June 30, anytime during the year.
So that could be a last minute backup
Yes.
for this storm and any other storms and whatever else comes down right between now and June 30th.
Correct.
Any other questions about that item? All right, the next item on the agenda is minutes. And I think we have one set of minutes to review from January 29th. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the minutes?
Could I move that we approve the minutes as presented?
Second.
Who's gonna second it?
I'll second.
Okay, Gerard, second. All right. Is there any discussion about any minutes or changes to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, I think we're ready for a vote.
Okay, great.
Good. All right, this is a roll call on approving the minutes as presented for January 29, 2026. Peggy Briggs,
Aye.
Brian Conway,
Aye.
Kathy Kukula,
Yes.
Eric Dahlberg,
Yes.
John Garoppolo,
Yes.
Gerard Jansen,
Yes.
Don Cutman,
Yes.
Lindsay List,
Yes.
Erlen Reed, yes. Shree Tupel,
Yes.
did I miss anybody else? All right, motion passed again. Thank you.
Great. All right, so the next item on our agenda is number 5, liaison reports. So we'll spend a couple minutes after we do the regular liaison reports talking about today's financial audit advisory committee meetings as well as the February 11th meeting. Both Eric and Carlin have updates from those meetings. But first, there are some liaison reports in the packet. Any questions about those that are in the packet or comments or anything to add?
I have a question,
Yeah.
and tell me if it will be discussed at a later date, but I believe it was here, the liaison for the schools.
Yes.
Well, I'm just out of the liaison report.
Oh, it's in the is it in the chair breakfast?
In the chair
notes?
breakfast, correct.
Okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they're will ask for a reduction in their assessment, so I'm wondering if that's a topic for discussion.
Yes, we are going to be talking about that under the budget updates.
Thank you.
Can I give my update on the financial audit advisory?
Yes. Any other first though? Any other verbal reports that for people who didn't get their notes in before the deadline? Okay, so I think we're good with those liaison reports. Let's move to the financial audit advisory committee.
Thank you, Lindsay. In the packet, there's a summary of what occurred at the February 11 meeting regarding the FAAC, where they talked about the reasons why the town's audits are delayed, as well as the life plan and the regional school district. That's what happened on the 11th of February. Today, this afternoon, scheduled, we were supposed to be giving a presentation regarding the regional school district audit as well as the life plan audit, but the schools were not present. So that audit report and that audit presentation is going to be set for another time. And I think it's being considered, well, very soon. I'm not sure what date or time it's been set yet, but if Ms. Ravelli, we don't know yet. Okay? We don't know yet when it's going to be scheduled fairly soon for the regional school audit. The life plan presented their audit. The auditor gave the presentation and noted that there was one of the same issues that's affecting the town is affecting the life plant. That's the controls over cash reconciliation. That system broke down because the life plant has to reconcile its ledger with the towns, and apparently they're about $170,000 apart. Now, interestingly, to me at least, the auditor said, well, this is not a material variance or material difference because of the size of the balance sheet for the life plant, which is over $54 million. So 170,000 just by the dollar amount alone is not significant enough to raise to that accounting level of warning. However, because it's part of a systemic issue that the town is addressing and has addressed, they did flag it as a material weakness, raising it from a significant deficiency. So that was the one matter that I noticed that was being discussed on. They also talked about the process by which the light plant selected the new auditing firm, how they chose it and why they chose it. And basically it comes down to this new auditing firm that we're going to be using going forward has experience with municipal light plants specifically. Because I think, Don, you were at the light board at one point, but that was something presented to the light board first as their explanation. Am I right about that?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, I was not that is what I took out, but I was not the only person there. Eric, I'm going to turn over to you. Is there anything else that you want to add in that I missed in this presentation on today's or the 11th Finance Audit Advisory?
I think you covered it, Colin, as the master FinCom liaison. The only thing maybe I would add on the findings of concern for the light plant, the one material weakness that was identified related to cash reconciliation, the root cause, the root causes that were pointed to were the same as the town: staff turnover and the munis system conversion.
All right. I think our select board member, Ms. Kelly, may have.
I just want to comment and correct something. The light plant, this is the first time this issue has been identified as a material weakness. It was not identified in prior audits. The light plant has had 2 clean audits in the last 2 years. There's not been a management report. The reference about significant deficiency in material pertains to the town's audit. So I think the light plant was identified as material because it's so dependent on the town audit. So just want to clarify that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions about that particular meeting or discussion?
Just ask a question about the changing of auditors. If one, how that came about, what's the process, and how is that decision made, and if the weaknesses, lack of weaknesses, whatever we're calling it, is not due to the auditor, but due to internal procedures. Why change auditors? The appearance is not the best. I think you have a clear weakness on it. So I'm curious, one, how it happens, like bringing a new one in, and then why it wasn't the auditors.
And I guess I want to let Jennifer speak, but there are 2 different change of auditors. So why don't I let Jennifer speak first to the town, remind you, then you can speak to CMLP also.
All right, I just figured, we'll start with CMLP. The staff always goes to trainings and other outreach with other groups. So CMLP goes to trainings and meets other people who work at light plants. And the auditor, Goulet, and there's another name, that associates, was highly recommended from other light plants in other settings. They had been talking about audits, they had been talking about various different things, and they had gotten very good reviews. And knowing that the light plant was getting to the end of their agreement with CBIZ, they considered making that change to a company that really works with light plants. That's their main business, is auditing light plants. So they know what they're doing there. It was more of a positive change for them to work with somebody who knows their business a little bit better. coupled with some of the just delays and miscommunications or lack of communication with the previous auditor, it just kind of pushed that along. It wasn't necessarily material transmission delays. It was just lack of communication, and that can be frustrating when you're looking to get something done and they're not responding in any way. They had been scheduled for an on-site in, I think it was March or April, May, and they didn't show up. And they didn't show up for like a month and a half till they finally said, okay, now here we are. And they were like, well, where have you been? And they said it was a lot of internal turnover and internal training on their part. So that kind of lack of communication is frustrating. So when an opportunity came to finish the engagement, they took a direction with a company that was going to be present for them.
You know, it's also worth noting, they did reference checks and they did a lot of outreach to local municipalities, got a lot of feedback. And a lot of those communities noted that this particular auditor helped them with their controls, and each year observed that their audit results got better and better. So I think they did a lot of good research selecting this auditor. I think it's the right decision.
Yeah.
Just one thing I would note, during the discussion today, I saw a contrast. It seemed like the Financial Audit Advisory Committee was concerned about not participating in the role of selecting the auditor for the town, but couldn't care less about selecting the auditor for the life plan. Was that a misperception, or did I understand that?
No, I think we were very focused. We had a little more discussion this time around the change of the auditor, but I think that the audit committee in general made a statement in our last meeting that any change in the auditor without the participation of the audit committee was a problem. And I don't think we had that followed for Jason.
That would cover all three audits?
Only two, because the region has not changed their audit. Now, what we have said is, at the close of each one of these next audits, we want a full report about the auditor and the process. So that is our expectation, and really people are.
So how did the auditor get chosen if the committee wasn't involved with choosing the auditor?
So when I arrived in November, we had just received the day before, well, Friday before, so I started on Monday. We had gotten the draft of the FY24 audit, and I said, what are you talking about? So we took a look through that draft. We kind of moved things along. I spoke with the auditor 2 days after I started, and there were troubles with just managing the timeline with them and communication, and it wasn't the delays in the timing were not all one-sided. They were certainly on the town for not having reconciled certain areas by the time that the auditors were looking for them. But then when those products were produced, then the auditors didn't turn things around in the normal timeframe that we would have expected. So usually the auditors can turn a financial statement audit around in, I would say, 4 to 5 months at the most, from engagement to final product. And whereas it took 18 months with admittedly some delays on our part, but those were done within 12 months. It took another 7 months, 8 months to get those products out. So we had some internal conversations, and we said, okay, well, what's going on? When are they starting 25? Because 25 was closed at that point, and they never reached out to engage for 25.
But I don't hijack this, but I think that what Carly's point was the committee seemed to raise concern that the committee wasn't involved in choosing us. So I'm just asking the question, who chose the auditor if the committee wasn't involved? And is that policy
Sure.
or not?
So it came down to, in municipal audits, there are 3 main firms in Massachusetts that do this work. There's the one we have. There's another one that is actually a consultant for us, Clifton Larson Allen,
In life plan.
and well, the Glaze doesn't do town audits.
The big reconciliation. Didn't help.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, so CLA was also doing some reconciling for the light plant, so, so we can't use them as an auditor because they already work on our books. So there's two. So the third one is Roselli Clark. We reached out to them and just said, just trying to feel things out. We didn't even, just as a kind of, we haven't heard anything. We don't know what's going on with our 25 audit. We're willing to consider moving to you guys in 26 if you could have some room, if this is something that we could even broach. And he said, you haven't had your 25 work done? And I said, no, we just got our 24, and they were shocked. And so we started talking about what would it look like if we could make that happen. And it just kind of, at that point, we still didn't have a management letter when we had reached out just to see if they could take us on for 26. We didn't have a management letter until mid-December. And so at that point, we still hadn't heard from our current auditors about engaging for 25. They never sent any emails, calls, nothing about 25. We said, well, we've got to do something because we can't just sit on our hands and wait for them to say, okay, we're ready now, when we don't have an engagement with them either. So Roselli Clark was able to take us on, and they came in January.
So again, I apologize.
Was it town manager who made that?
So it was a combination in with the town manager, myself, and we mentioned it to the select board in conversations.
Yeah, no, I think it actually was reported in another.
Yeah, that we were considering. So they were informed. But again, the audit committee hadn't met in a year and a half. So
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Appreciate that.
where would we go?
You have one more question?
No, and maybe it's not a brief. I'm just asking a question. Is it policy for the committee to vote on this stuff and discuss or not? Because if not, then that's all I'm asking. If yes, then why weren't they involved given what has transpired? That's all I'm asking. I understand there's only a couple and who you can choose. I totally get that, and I understand communication. Totally get it. I'm just asking about policy, and was that followed? Yes or no? I'm just curious.
Part of the charge of the financial audit committee is to advise on the auditor choice. Whereas we didn't have a whole lot of choice at the time, and the audit committee had not met. We didn't have a product to meet about, so there was no real evaluation of whether or not they could advise on making a choice.
I suspect that's about as good an answer as we're going to get, John. I think I understand what you're trying to get.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. I appreciate that.
Yeah, go.
One quick follow-up. It sounds like the previous auditor, did we have a contract in place with the previous auditor? Because it sounds like they failed to meet kind of the basic expectations of a contract. They didn't respond to inquiries, or they didn't get back to us with, they didn't meaningfully engage us in the work.
I feel like you're going to say one more thing.
Were they in breach of contract?
No. So what we have with an auditor is called an engagement letter. It acts as a contract, but it basically assigns the work. It generally follows a timeline, the similar timeline, but there's no actual timeline in that engagement. Like there's no deadline included in the engagement letter. It's assumed that they would finish 1 year before starting the next, which generally happens. But we had we had an engagement letter with CBIZ for 1 year at that point. Sometimes we sign 3-year engagements, sometimes it's 1 or sometimes it's 2.
All right. Thank you. I think that's it for liaison reports. So we're going to move on to the next item in the agenda, which is an update from the land use working group co-chairs, Sven Weber and Judith Long. If you could try to sit at the, you can find a
Let me,
spot here.
do you want to?
Yeah, please. It'll kind of easier for you, so yeah.
We don't need the microphone, so you're.
I'm not sure this will work.
News at PGS,
And if you, yeah. Okay, so we'll hand the floor over to you and let us know if you think we should ask questions during or if we should wait for the end.
I would propose you just go in quickly through
Okay,
and then you bombard us with questions
okay.
afterwards. So send over 50 down.
Just quickly, sorry, we've allotted about 30 minutes
Yeah.
for this item, so we'll try to fit questions in that time frame too. We'll do the best we can. I know this is a meaty topic. Okay.
Okay, send over 50. Banner Street, co-chair for them who's group and
Judith Grant Long, 94 North Snack Hill Road, also co-chair of the land use group.
so as a little background, so the land use working group was established last July, and the picture of the puzzle pieces is there purposely. Because in the end, what turned out is the select board gave us kind of a big box of plenty of puzzle pieces, which turned out to be several kind of puzzle sets mixed together. And asked us to make sense out of it. So if you look, is what our charge was. The charge was separated in two phases, a phase 1 and a phase 2. And we just finished last Friday the phase 1. That's, you're getting information that is kind of fresh out of the press. And the select board we had a presentation yesterday. So you're just up to speed then on where we stand here. In phase 1, the goal was to identify the biggest needs of the town with respect to properties and uses, and give a recommendation with respect to options which passes the town could take. And just to be clear, the land use working group is not a decision group. It is a group that looks at the data, looks at the information, and makes general recommendation. The deciding body is the select board, and if they then decide to go forward with 1 or 3 different passes, there will be full processes behind that with public input and to go in much deeper into the numbers. If we are only able to work based on the time on order of magnitudes, numbers, order of magnitudes, cost, and the general path where it could go. So keep that in mind. That we're talking about order of magnitudes. Also keep in mind that not everything will happen immediately. This is 10 or more years of work for the town. It gives an overview of potential capital needs that are coming, and that are important for you and for the town to know and keep in mind when making decisions from one fiscal year to the other. So we structured phase 1 in 3 subgroups. One looking at the needs of public works, one looking at the needs of public safety, with fire and police. And then some additional part was the municipal consolidation. Is there a path to consolidate the town offices? And that was originally driven by the availability of employees. And we thought the original idea was, can you bring the offices there together and free up those things? So all we have to cover for Judith. So I will start. That's we had an agreement. Oh, Judith, are you okay, or should I?
I apologize.
Okay, I can jump in when you have to run again. Yeah?
I'll try and see if I can get through my little bit here. It's rare that I'm here to do it in person, so it's a little unfortunate that I'm having a challenge with my voice. With regard to police and fire, and I'm not going to be able to.
Okay. All right.
Maybe coughing all the way through.
So let's first look at police and fire. We know we have 2 buildings, one on Walden Street, which houses the fire headquarters, and the police headquarters. They're co-located and we have the fire station on Main Street. That's our inventory. We have to be clear that the fire station in West Concord on Main Street is old. We specifically buy smaller fire trucks to be able to park, and still that leads to a situation that there's only one person who can actually park that truck in it, because there's an inch left and an inch right and an inch on the top to get this thing in and out. We had fire in that building before. It's if you walk in it, it's clearly it's not usable for the use where it is today. If you look at the second building, which houses the fire and the police, from the outside it looks good. And you go inside, and probably when the path goes forward, there will be plenty of chances to see it from the inside. It's questionable if that is continue to be usable as it is. It's also questionable if it can be renovated. Even there, in one of the bays for the trucks, they had already cut in to the ceiling to fit the truck into that. So we looked at different scenarios here and what can be done. The baseline for all of the working groups, by the way, is always there's a status quo. We do nothing. And what does that mean? So therefore you see that in these three main categories: what to do with West Concord Fire Station, what to do with the Concord Center Fire Station, what to do with the police fire station. The status quo is always there. Renovate, build new on current site, or build new on an alternative site. So these were the basic categories, and the fourth category is kind of a crossover of these different things. Can you mix and match and co-locate when you do these things to save cost? And today we have already a mix and match solution in place here on Walden Street, where fire and police headquarters are located together. So after looking at this, many meetings and a lot of information, here's the summary of the recommendations. Both locations are in desperate need of upgrade, no question asked. The priorities we see is the highest priority is the fire station in West Concord, and the recommendation is to convert that into a new fire headquarters for Concord. So right now the headquarters is located on this side of Route 2. It would be the recommendation to when they're building new, ideally on the existing site, inquiring potentially neighboring lots, building a new fire headquarters there. Why that? The reason is that even today, most of the action for fire department is in West Concord already today. And we have the smallest station there. And we have 240Bs coming up. We have MCI coming up. There will be more action. So it makes natural sense to consider West Concord as the fire headquarters. That consequently means that the fire station here would be downgraded to a sub-fire station. There's a little bit less need on how much footprint they need here. So think about that concept: fire headquarters in West Concord, addressing needs, downgrading the fire station here, but we need a new substation for fire here too. Either renovate or build new. And the same for the police. The police is in a certain way unique. They're ambivalent in where they can be located. That we have a little bit more flexibility there. But right now, our assessment is that the current building is not feasible for the police as a headquarters unless it can be renovated. So one of the recommendations we have as next steps is that we need to put some money behind analyzing the existing building over there. Can it be renovated or not? If we put too much money into renovate, at a certain point, is the typical 60% line. It is much better to build than to renovate. So on the next steps, our recommendation to select board was to establish a dedicated public safety facilities building committee. You have to establish that, you have to work through, even if you start today, this is a multi-year process. The building is not coming online and the capital expenditures are coming up tomorrow. But you have to prepare for that. And We also advised that we look at other properties. Just to full disclosure, we looked at 229 Main, MCI, Concord, Kais Road, Peabody, Ripley, Harvey Wheeler, and for police, MCI, Peabody, and Ripley, and disqualified these locations as a location for either the police or fire station. Let's quickly touch on municipal consolidation. This is hard to see here, but in a nutshell, it lists 14 locations. There are about 130 plus employees across these 14 locations of the town, makes an average of less than 10 per location. So that already cries for inefficiencies and cries for a solution, what can be done here. That was the main driver then to look at that. You see what in the core was identified as things to bring together, parts of the townhouse, not all, assessor's office, the 141 Kais Road, the engineering of Kais Road, Church Street, Harvey Wheeler, Ripley. Ripley is here, although it's currently in school use, it's far beyond this usable time. The school is managing this for waiting to fail. I think we have to be all aware if this building fails, most likely fails big. So we'd rather have a solution in place. Where does it go with Ripley and what is located there? Options to look at was again status quo, renovate Peabody as a new building at Peabody side, new building at Ripley side, and that was a little bit during the process, purchased and renovated existing office building. So the idea was, can we take advantage of empty office space in Concord? Actually, there might be an opportunity that was handled in executive session and is now in the hand of the town and the select board to look at that. There was significant financial analysis behind this group because in the end, it was not only do you renovate a building and move things it's also what is the opportunity cost or the opportunity for income for the town. If you do some kind of a larger picture, is if you, for example, move into Ripley, the lot and it has a certain value, so that cannot be harvested. But if you do it somewhere else, you actually can do that. And I would recommend you got 150 pages report. Take your time, read it, and I have to give this group a lot of credit on looking what are the different options and what does it mean with respect to cost and potential income you can harvest, and not only by selling a lot, but also what is the 10-year property tax income you're generating in different zoning scenarios. So if you look at right now, Peabody is zoned for AA, which is only one house per 2 acres. You're not getting a lot for that. But if you rezone this for residential B, you can build more houses. It's not too dense like residential C, but you drive up the value of them. So these scenarios were built. There were other things to look at in the decision matrix, but it came very, very clear that there's just one single front runner in this. And that is take advantage of empty office space in Concord, purchase and renovate an existing office space for the town needs, and look to monetize Peabody with a rezone B, look to monetize Ripley with a rezone B, Kais Road, Church Street, and Harvey Wheeler. That's the sum. And the one thing to be clear that if you start looking at the numbers, originally the group thought the consolidation we have more time, but there are two factors that might drive the timing on this. One is the Ripley situation. The other one is that this might free up significant cash that can be put into capital reserve to fund other things, like the fire and police and so on. So there's some cash flow timing we have to have in mind that this solution might have positive impact for how we handle the capital needs going forward. Next steps were refine. We need to put a little bit more work behind the opportunity that is on hand here for the acquisition, and a implementation timing and the public outreach. At a certain point, the public needs to know what this opportunity would look like. The third leg is the public works side. Originally, the driver was we have MCI coming up, and it was driving really have a high interest in the opportunity to get the wastewater treatment facility at MCI. So the original question is there potential that we can place public works there, or could we place it somewhere else? Operations of that size, there are not many lots available in town that are not under conservation restriction. It's a very, very limited way to place it. So the group went through it. The group alone had 12 subcommittee sessions, had walkthroughs through the different facilities, looked at feasibility, cost structures, looked at other locations, which, by the way, also fire and police did look at Lexington and other locations to see what other towns are doing, and build their metrics and saying what makes sense with respect to the size, the cost, the location, and some basic feasibility behind it. And the summary is MCI remains the preferred location for public works. There would be used an additional 7 acres on top of the 4.5 acres for the wastewater treatment facility, approximately. But you also free up the Kaiser Road campus, which could be potentially then converted in residential. And this is a premium. It's a very good residential location, Kaiser Road, for this. It's already zoned to industrial, so that's good. It's a mix of build new and renovation that keeps the cost a bit under control, because some of the buildings can be repurposed that are there. But it's complex negotiations with DCAM, the state, the timeline of it. And it's also the negative side is, of course, it potentially can take the 7 acres away from developable land. But we give 7 acres on the Kaiser. So we have to think about that logic. The 2 other viable alternatives are on Bedford Street, near or next to the current wastewater treatment facility. There are 2 lots that are currently used for agricultural use. They're currently zoned for residential heat, or Ripley. If Ripley is getting vacated, tear that thing down and put public works there, could be a viable part. There's certain downsides on the Bedford side is it's close to residentials, it's an ag field, so there's certain interest behind that. They're the endangered species, specific kind of turtles there. So it's a more complex, and it would be a complete new build. Similar to Ripley, it would be a complete new build, plus tear down cost, and close to the neighborhood. So there, in all of this, there's always a give or take, but we have to think about what happens if you're not getting the MCI. What are the alternatives here? Again, on public works, next steps is there are more technical studies to be done, and mainly this needs to be integrated in the MCI negotiation stream. Last but not least, where we are from our group is we are from key stakeholders. You are one of them. Seems to be we will also have potentially an event with the League of Women Voters coming, and there will be more information. We will initiate phase 2, and phase 2 is mainly focused what can be done with the properties that were not earmarked for the recommendations out of phase 1. So what do you do with it? What are the recommendations with respect zoning, use, and for the greater part of Concord, and then wrap it up in July, and then leave it to the select board to make decisions on which paths to go and which concrete next steps will be done. That's it.
All right, I'm back. Yeah.
Great to sit in this chair. It's gonna start again.
So I'm sure there are a lot of questions, so we're gonna start in the room. I know Carolyn has some questions, but she has a few, so does anyone else have questions? You want to start, John? Go ahead.
Really great. And it looks like everything was focused on kind of how Two-part question. One, did you think about the zoning B impact on schools and public service, and then how that ripples through the economics of the town? And then two, did you consider or rule out other income uses that wouldn't tax the schools, like senior living, memory care, those type of alternate uses, which can still bring in lots of revenue, but again, not tax the schools.
So just to be clear, phase one was first laying the direction. So phase two is really, as what I just said, is what to do with these properties that are not earmarked, say, for public works or not earmarked. So what kind of uses can you put in? At the moment, the models of the consolidation group are very focused on the housing side, but we will go through this again. There are other properties where we have to look at what can be done on commercial use, mixed use, and other parts. We will have for sure also some thinking. There is some data available on the school needs. You have to be aware the schools have 200 empty seats, and the empty seats growing by about 80 seats per year. So we have the town. We will have to have some backfilling, but it has to be modeled. And how much can we backfill? But if you continue another full school cycle of 12 school years, if you look at the cohort, the town loses about 1,100, 1,300 students if there's no backfill. Go with your average. Yeah, that's the backfill. Yeah, yeah. So that's without the projects, the schools would lose over 1,000 students. Just if it's 1,150 or 1,155, we don't know, but that's the order of magnitude.
And if I can just jump in and hopefully complete the sentence. Just a little bit of expectation management as well. This is a group of 9 people who have spent 6 or 7 months basically doing a lot of back of the envelope kind of assessment. We're not working with consultants. We are not working with troves of up-to-date data. I use words like modeling very carefully. Very speculative, very broad numbers when we think about the work that we presented. And then the idea that we are going to do a complicated analysis of a series of other land uses in the next 4 months and look at every alternative for every parcel. I think we just want to set the expectation that the goal of this group is to take some smart people with some technical expertise and to try to sort through some of the big issues and the big opportunities. And then the next steps will start to bring to bear some of these more complicated, more data-rich oriented types of questions. So just trying to set expectations so that we can all understand what's possible under these constraints.
Yeah, I think this is terrific. Thank you. And I think especially the consolidation analysis for the city offices that demonstrates that there is a solution that unlocks, that frees up capital, that's net generator of capital to the town, which escalates that the prioritization of that. That not only would we gain efficiency, but we also gain capital to use for other purposes as well. And that to me is it's great to see that proven out here. And thank you for the rigorous hard work. Yep.
Go ahead.
I do. I echo what Don said. I think it's a great analysis, very clear and logical. And I like the holistic look, especially the consolidation piece. I think one thing that drives people crazy about government is it tends to be very whack-a-mole, and they solve this problem and then 3 more spring up over here. So very, very thoughtful. I do question why. Or I want to understand why you characterize the current DPW facility as in failure mode. That seems like really strong language, given the buildings there are employees going in and out of there, there are residents going in and out of there. I think there's a voting location in there. So it's, is it really in failure mode? Is that really, is that official designation, or is that more of a subjective?
So
It's just not great.
So 141, the building up front where the planning department is, that's not DPW, so we're a voting location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's by the way, there's a river going underneath it, and the whole building is full, is soaked with water and there's mold in there. Yeah. So sometimes things look good from the outside, but 141, that was part of the municipal consolidation analysis, is a separate building. DPW, all the buildings behind. Last winter, the roof on one of the buildings blew away, and we had to fix it. We have to double and triple park equipment there. Most of the equipment is outside, and generally is rusting, which is not good. If you think about what the cost is of some of these trucks, it costs $700,000 each, and we are artificially lowering the lifetime of that. And the buildings are not aired properly. So if you even compare, let's say, the failing fire buildings, they have full ventilation systems on the exhaust for the cars. Yeah, that's not there. It's a major health issue for the employees. They work while all of this equipment is running and driving in and out there. I would encourage when this goes further, because I'm sure there will be tours available, but if you tour it, you see it. And again, I don't know what was the exact timing of the study. Years ago, it was already done a study before COVID that already at that time classified these buildings as unfavorable. And if you tour it, you see it.
We just one quick follow. We did tour it. We toured it. It was about 2 years ago. The FinCom toured it. We also toured the public safety building, and so we've seen. I don't know how much it's changed in about 2 years, but it didn't look great. I'm surprised to hear. When I hear something's in failure mode, to me that's we got to move now, and it doesn't sound like that's the plan. This wasn't even on the list of capital needs when we heard about the capital plan a couple of months ago. So I just think the messaging on this is a little
I think what you have to give these guys credit. When they see something to repair, and they have a screwdriver next to them, they just fix it. And for years they were in a situation that we can't move anywhere, and there's no money left there. When the MCI opportunity came, then suddenly, yes, they must have studied it. Yeah, yes, it was already classified. Now there's opportunity, but looking is what needs to be done on the current location to upgrade that there. It's not fit.
I would like to say though that I think the point is well taken about the consistency and usage of units. Because building failure, depending on what industry you sit in, means a building is not occupiable. And that is not the standard that those buildings are at. So I think we might revisit our language to understand more clearly what is the difference between poor condition versus failed condition. And then also maybe have some kind of listing of what each of those terms means. I think when it comes to communicating with the public, I think that would be helpful.
In doing evaluations myself, consider two different rating scales: condition and safety. They're two distinctly different themes, but they can work together or against.
We also would add functionality to that matrix, right? So I think you can have three.
You can ask on.
Well, I have two right now, but maybe some folks online as well. Two questions for you. First one is a small question. The next one is more a policy question. Small question is this: I love the heat map for the fire calls. That's fire plus ambulance. Do you have one for the police?
So one is or
Well, I think there's an easy answer for that, which is no, we do not. But I suspect the police has the data, certainly has the data, which could be put into the format of a heat map. So we could.
That would be useful because if you're thinking about putting a police station here versus there, you like to know that.
This is a little bit different, though, right? I mean, fire station, the location of fire stations is based largely on response time, which the Massachusetts standard currently is between 8 and 9 minutes, is where you want 90% of your calls. The police is a little bit different because the cruisers are all around town. They're not They're not in a specific location, so they're not all responding, say, from the Walton Street location. So their response time is largely dependent on where the cruisers are, and they have a policy of trying to keep them circulating through town. At least that's.
And the police chief was very clear. We got a lot of input from both chiefs in that work. Police chief was very clear. He's always said they typically live and work in their car. So he was very flexible in where this police headquarters could be located.
Okay.
So it's less on the fire side. The fire is response time. How fast can you get somewhere? So one of the things that we early looked at but moved out very, very quickly. What about just having everything on one location, and that's it? And that didn't work for 5
Okay. I know we shot past our 30 minutes, but I have one other question that maybe somebody else online. This is a policy question. You've talked to us about where, what, how much, but you haven't talked to us about when. The sequence of events. Do you have to do the zoning first before you sell? Do you sell Peabody first before you do Harvey Wheeler? Is public works more important than public safety or municipal financing? That sounds like it might be phase 3 of this. And when it's important, not just to know when things are going to change, but when we have to have the money available for borrowing and for purchasing. So did the committee talk about the when question?
Well, do I jump in and you can add in? But certainly phasing is a part of any type of strategy where you're doing several specialized projects at once. And that's even ultimately if the select board decides to do all of these things at once. These are options, and you could do municipal consolidation and public safety and not do public works. You could do public works and public safety. I mean, there's lots of different combinations here. Phasing, I think, while certainly important and trying to figure out the capital planning aspects of phasing, critically important, we're not there yet. We need to do a lot of talking around even a disposition strategy. Were the select board to decide to do this with all kinds of public engagement, we would then need to think about in what sequence, what order, what needs to be pre-zoned, what can actually go to market based on speculation of rezoning. So there's all kinds of questions.
So that's why you said 10 years.
But
Not 10 years to figure out the phasing strategy, but 10 years to implement the phasing strategy.
Yeah. And certain things are outside of control of the town. Let's take MCI. The negotiations with DPAM define their own timeline. That defines the timeline for public works. And so that's something where in the end, it's not too much to choose around that timeline. And then if you look at a full new fire headquarters, even if you start tomorrow doing that takes, if not longer, years to get to the point where you draw the first capital call for the construction. Yeah.
The process to plan and they spend money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
Okay. Any questions from finance committee members online? There's no hands raised. No hands. And any questions for Brian? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I didn't have a long question. Is there a longer version of the report that you could share? It's a very interesting report.
Brian, if you look at your packet, the whole report's included there.
Okay. I didn't have the packet in front of me. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Yes, thank you so much. This is we've all been looking forward to this. So thank you for your time and apologies again for your interruptions. Okay, back to our agenda. We're just a few minutes behind. We're pretty on track here. So number 7 on our agenda is fiscal year 27 budget updates. We're going to get an update here from Jennifer. The schools have a negotiation, I think, with the unions and things tonight. So they had like a real conflict tonight. So Jennifer, you're going to be able to provide updates for both the town and the schools, at least at a high level. Okay, and then I think we also have in our packet something from the school. I'm just trying to pull up the right page. Additional information, but I'll give you the floor.
So we were asked to provide an update for the select board on Monday, which we did yesterday, on just changes in the last few weeks within the budgets for the joint accounts, the regional schools, how that relates to the overall outlook for 27, and a few other things we've been working on. So these are just some of the highlights that have kind of happened since last we met. Health insurance, we were initially advised to draft the budget with a 15% increase to health insurance. Maya and IIA, Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association, has released their FY27 rates, and due to below average claims experience, Concord has received a confirmed 4.3% increase.
Yeah.
So we updated our census in our plan. We have other planned staffing changes, an estimate for open enrollment changes due to these favorable rates, and an adjustment for the January 1 retiree plan rate changes. We were able to reduce the budget line by $667,800, and that's only a 7.4% increase. So about half of that percentage increase, which was a lot in the joint accounts. Likewise, property insurance estimates were lower than initially estimated. They came in at 8.1. However, we had to make an adjustment because of the 26 actuals that were actually over budget, and that were they weren't over budget. They were accommodating large credits from rewards points through Maya. So we're going to see a $4,841 decrease. So it's a 13.6% increase. And this figure does include the 2% early discount. Two lines of the budget percent are the biggest percentage increases overall. But we were able to realize a 5% reduction from our earlier estimates, resulting in a total increase to the joint accounts of just 2.9%. So here you can see them all lined up. This is a familiar slide from my last one, but I did update those numbers in here. This also includes a revision to the debt service. We received a schedule from the financial advisors, kind of an estimate on guessing at the interest rates and what that's going to look like with the the debt planning strategy that would be employed for each of those different borrowings. Update for the schools. The health insurance in reduction also favorably impacted the region's budget. Recently, the Carlisle Finance Committee asked the region to reduce Carlisle's assessment by $100,000 without reducing education services. CCRSD took up the discussion on this. The regional school committee took up the discussion at their meeting on Wednesday, February 4th. You could probably find that online. I didn't look it up myself, but I know that they were just kind of briefly discussing this. To meet the directive of Carlisle, it would create a significant challenge, but for the boon of the reduction in the insurance and an increase in state aid. Factoring in both of those two benefits, CCRSD is contemplating a total reduction of $246,687. That's total. Concord's split would be $184,620, and Carlisle's just over 62,000. So it falls short of Carlisle's 100,000. We don't know if they're going to be able to meet that demand of Carlisle's FinCom. They were meeting on Wednesday yesterday, and I haven't gotten the results of that meeting yet.
Go ahead. So could
Yeah.
this number is a little
184.
different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That's-
sorry, I'm
that's
missing
one
a
of the-
missing $100,000. Sorry.
It's even better.
Even better. Yeah, well, if they were to reduce Carlisle's portion by 100,000, that means they'd have to reduce the total budget by 400,000. And we would see $300,000 in net reduction, so
Right.
$400,000 is a lot, because we already pushed them for 150.
Yeah.
So. The foundation budget for Concord share of the Minuteman regional budget necessitated an adjustment for the minimum required contribution from the governor's budget released in January. In that process, it was noted that the enrollment figures for Concord's and one other town's students were short. The total budget was not changed, total Minuteman, total budget. However, the assessments for all towns were adjusted as a result. Concord's enrollment increased by 1 student for the high school and 2 post-secondary students. This resulted in a net increase for Concord of 550,000, a little bit more, or 3%, for a total net increase for the
550,000?
55,000.
Okay, thank you.
My zero's have been off. Total net increase for the Minuteman is a 6.4% increase. If we line them all up together, the town general government and joint accounts are 2.67% increase. CPS here is still at the 2.75% guideline. You know and then the CCRSD and Minuteman have a net reduction currently of 0.34, subject to further updates. The overall impact of the FY27 expense budgeting shows a total expected increase of 1.98%. For planning purposes, and on prior slides, you would have seen a 3% increase in the tax levy. That was just for targeting. Generally, that's what we do, but now we're able to basically project that it will be about a 1.96% increase based on the 1.98 overall.
Excuse me, Jennifer, is that before growth or after growth?
That is the levy,
The levy, so it's.
not the levy limit.
Right. No, I understand.
Yeah.
So in other words, the impact on the average tax bill would be about 1%. Because we get about 1% in the levy from growth to the existing taxpayers.
It all depends on valuation and where you calculate that at. So baseline, you can assume the taxpayer will see a 1.9% increase. Then you factor in valuation changes, and it could go up from there, down from there. We're still working on refining that calculation, what that looks like, just because we're taking some estimates on valuation changes. So the warrant was included in last week's bridge. I see a copy there. It's also available online. If you go into, I think the hyperlinks might still work in your packet. You can find the warrant online. And coming soon, there will be enterprise budget book will also be posted. We're kind of finalizing that this week. So probably by next week before the public hearings, that will be also online. And it's right there on kind of the same page. There is a new feature inside the budget book for anyone who's gone in there to look. There's an AI search that you can ask a question of AI and it will actually find references within the budget book to answer any particular query you put in there. It takes a couple of minutes for it to do the search, but it's pretty accurate in what it's finding as long as you use kind of either a whole phrase or certain keywords that you're looking for. It's pretty neat technology in there. That was just released about a week ago. Free cash. We did not have this update yesterday. Free cash was certified this afternoon.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, wait. Just wait. So yes, this afternoon, the new available balance until June 30th is 17,040,000. It's an increase of $1.14 million from last year's certification. Remember that last year we used just shy of 1.5 million. And this year we're planning, if you look through the warrant, you'll see a total of about $4 million. So some of that's going to savings, and some of that is for various different projects.
The certification date as of what date?
Today,
Yeah.
today is the, whatever date today is.
36. Yeah.
The retained earnings for BD, swim fitness were also certified as well. I haven't looked at where those fall in relation to historic yet. This literally came in at what? 3 o'clock today, 2:30? In the middle of the financial investment committee meeting. So that's all I have there.
So, should we go to questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much for the update.
Yeah.
All right, Caroline, you said you have a question.
Well,
What did you start with?
The health insurance claims, what's the lag time between when an injury occurs and when a claim is filed? And is that lag time a factor in the insurance rating for us?
The rating is based on, I believe it's October to October each year. So we get the rates for in February for next year based on the prior 12 months from October to October.
And remember too, last year, we didn't have that experience, we were based on the average of the range that they provided, so we were 14%. But this is actually based on
Actual experience.
On actual experience.
And this is with the new health insurance company?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
On that, so just generally, I mean, there's some really good news in this update. Thank you. On the health insurance, I would argue that that's the best of the good news, the health insurance increase. Is there anything, I'm not familiar with the town's plan design. Is there anything we can, and this is probably something to take offline, but I'll just pose the question. Is there anything that we can point to in the town's benefit design that had an impact on that increase? The way we incentivize employees to take advantage of preventative care, or something that could have, something we can point to that we did to help blunt that increase, because we should do more next year.
The biggest thing that our human resources department does is provide wellness opportunities, preventive care. We have opportunities for mindfulness, yoga. I think it was a candle making class. I mean, just something just to kind of unwind or create that well-being wholeness for the employees and their families and their other subscribers. So we're seeing good benefits from good use of our plan. Our rates are also combined with the school region. So all of the public schools, so all of those teachers as well are under our umbrella for
Done.
Jennifer, I want to ask first, again, thank you, echo that. Thank you for this update. It's really great to see it, and it's good news. I want to dig just a little bit more so I know where we stand. In the update you gave us on the budget, specifically about that line 13, which is debt service. So the debt service within the levy limit, it's shown decreasing, and the debt service excluded is growing. Question is, you noted that 14 projects were rolling off. We have 10-year debt, and so projects where the remaining principal is down. Did the numbers shown here under 2027 proposed include the interest expense of debt that we would incur in this year's town meeting, if authorized in this year's town meeting, or do we not put that in the budget because we don't know whether it'll be approved or not?
We don't generally, but I did build in $35,000 for short-term notes on the off chance that we do need to take action sooner on
Yeah.
a particular item.
Yeah.
Generally, we pay interest every 6 months
Yep.
on any borrowing, so it would be at most 6 to 8 months short term before we do a full borrowing. We're planning on doing another full borrowing toward the end of next fiscal year. We've got one teed up for May, which we can't include any new authorizations from April. It's too soon. We have to have all of the parts in motion in March. But we are planning to do the next one at some point during the next fiscal year, probably after the 6-month mark, so we wouldn't have any interest due in that fiscal year.
So these numbers then reflect a placeholder for that borrowing in May, for the debt that was authorized at last year's town meeting. And you noted that the borrowing for the roads is reflected in this schedule, although it's
Yes,
it's
it's the first year.
Yeah, year one.
it looks like it's half of 1 year. It's like from my recollection, the interest expense and but
Yeah, in this budget, there's a principal and an interest payment for the roads for the last phase of the middle school, as well as other sundry projects that were approved in the last 2 annual town meetings.
Okay. One thing I just want the committee to be aware of is that that number, that line 13B1, town principal and interest, will be growing quite rapidly, just thanks to the roads bill, and the increase will next year. We can expect probably twice as much, or 3 times as much actually, as what we're experiencing here. But it's wonderful to see great progress overall. Thank you.
And net debt is down 1.7%.
Great.
Great. Any questions from members online?
No hands.
No hands.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thanks again for the update and the good news. So the next item on the agenda is the FinCom hearing schedule. So next week and the week after are the public hearings that the FinCom public hearings for town meeting. And Lois thought it would be helpful for new members and maybe also just a reminder to all of us about how these meetings typically go. So first of all, there's a hearing next week, and that's going to be a very meaty one next Thursday, because that deals with the school's operating budget, the town's operating budget, and also the capital budgets. So I think there'll be a lot of questions, and that will probably be one of the longer hearings. And then we have 2 hearings the following week on Tuesday and Thursday, the 10th and the 12th. And then we also have our regular FinCom meeting the following week. So we'll see each other every week. Okay. So typically the way these public hearings go is that we hold a short FinCom meeting just before to go through any housekeeping. So and then we temporarily adjourn that meeting to hold the public hearing. There are presentations for each warrant article. So whoever brought forth the warrant gets to present on their article. And then we have the opportunity as a committee to ask questions, and then the public also has the opportunity to ask questions and make comments. And then after all of that, we adjourn the public hearing, and then we reconvene the FinCom meeting. And and hopefully, as long as it's not like midnight or something, hopefully we vote on any articles presented that we feel like we're ready to vote on. And those that we're not ready to vote on, either because we need to have further discussion or we didn't get all the information we needed to vote, we can defer that to the next meeting, so that either the next public hearing or to our FinCom meeting. And then ideally, though, the goal is to have a vote on all of the articles that we need to vote on by the end of that 3rd public hearing. So through all these little mini meetings that we're having at the end of the public hearings, hopefully we'll get through all of the votes we need to get through and get all the information we need. But we can always, defer votes all the way to town meeting. So if we need to, although that's not ideal, but if we don't have the information. The Lois thinks that third hearing will probably be the shortest, so she thinks we will have an opportunity there to have a good meeting where we can wrap all the voting up. So hopefully that'll be it. So it'll be a busy March as it always is, but I'm sure we'll get through it. So that's the FinCom hearing schedule. Is there any questions or? And then this is a good segue into the FinCom report, which is the last big item on our agenda here. Carlin's been doing a lot of pre-work on the FinCom report, which we're also grateful for. And she's also made some assignments on who's going to be writing the FinCom. Well, I'll let you kind of go through what you need here, but we need to start getting organized for that. That's going to be due before we know it, right after the public hearings, and we're all going to have to play a role here to help, contribute to the write-up and to some of the analysis. And so I'm going to let Carlin tell us give us an update and tell us what she needs from the committee.
Thank you, Lindsay. Couple things. I'm going to briefly go over the portion that was in your packet. This is pieces of the draft report as it is. I'm also going to be talking about the assignments for the various committee meetings. I've talked to just about everybody here on doing at least 2 articles, and I want to talk to Brian and Kathy online as part of this discussion. First, what's in the actual packet. If you like the pictures on the cover, let me know. If you don't like them, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. That's just something that I thought was important of what happened this past year in Concord and how it relates to our finances. Table of contents, you get an idea of how the organizational structure of each section. There's a page here that we're going to include in called Trends and Anticipated Challenges. Now, right now it has just 4 bullet points in, and this is where I'd like to have individual members who want to send me some text to try and flesh this out, because the 4 bullet points are these, dealing with, first one, Concord spending continues to grow as new needs and wants are identified. Second, our each municipal public safety and public works buildings need to be remodeled or replaced. We need to start saving now for these large capital improvements. Third, school population changes, including enrollment shifts in the high school, will impact Concord spending. And fourth, Concord has an unusual opportunity to grow, which brings its own challenges. So I'd like to have these bullets fleshed out a little bit. So if you have some text that you want to send me, please do. If you have some additional bullets, the things that you want to tell the folks at town meetings, these trends are important, watch this. In addition to all the data presented, just put this up. Let me know. But again, send your responses just to me so we don't have any open meeting law violation issues. Okay? Okay. Our presentation today, I think, would fit very nicely in as part of one of these discussion points. But other things that may not be covered, those bullet points are welcome as well. The other part that's contained in the packet are examples of the template that we used last year for the recommendation sheets. And this tells you how much you need to write for each article that you're assigned to do. It really isn't much. If you have questions about the particular article you're assigned to, or about how to phrase it, talk to me about it. I'm happy to work with you on each and every one of them. We have about a total of 50 articles to assign, and I have assigned and talked to individual members so that almost all of them are covered. But I have a couple that haven't been covered. So I'd like to move now, so give you folks, is to try and get the last couple of warrant articles signed, and then I'll go through the whole list of what I have. Brian, I'm going to talk to you first, and Kathy online, I'm going to talk to you second. I'd like Brian and Kathy each to pick one more article out of these possible selections. I'm going to read out the numbers, and you let me know if there's one that you want to do, all right? Articles number 7, 8, 9, 18, 19, 20, 21, or 39. Brian? Everyone's going to work on 2 articles, and I have one for you already. That's Article 17. Could I see Brian's face up here, please? It's more important than what's on there.
Yeah.
Hey there. Hey there. No, I'm trying to read them really quick while you're saying this.
Brian, you're already assigned to Article 17, which is the Minuteman budget, because
Yep,
you would
I saw that.
but one more. Okay, so 7, 8, 9, 18 through 21, or 39. What's your pick?
Oh
And if you
man.
can't pick, I'm going to assign you one. So you have a choice first. Yes.
Colin? No, is number 12, is number 12 one of the ones you want done?
Well. No, someone's already got that. That's what Kathy, I thought you were already assigned to 12. You and Gerard are going to work on 12.
Yes.
Gerard is also working on number 6. So Kathy, I want another one for you as well.
Okay, 12.
Yeah. No. Kathy, you and Gerard are going to work on 12 together.
Right.
In addition to that.
I'll take Article 7. That's one.
You bet. Okay, Brian's got 7. Kathy, do you want 8, 9, 18, 19, 20, 21, or 39? I'm going to suggest 8. Unless you tell me otherwise.
Oh, she's on mute.
I think I heard her say 8.
Kathy, can I persuade you to do Article 8?
Hey, I don't know anything about Article 8.
Don't worry, Jennifer will walk you through it. It's one of the correction articles. The 7, 8, 9 are all correction articles from budgeting transfer.
8's the easiest.
I'm happy to do 8 too if you want. I'll do 7 and 8 with 17. If that's
Well, how about 9? Can I get you to do 9, Kathy?
I'll do 8.
Okay. I'm making a decision. Brian, you're going to do 7 and 8 and 17. You've got 3. Kathy, I'm going to have you do Article 12 and with Gerard, but also number 9. So that takes care of 7, 8, 9. All right? Okay. What we don't have, ones that we don't have assignments for are 18, 19, 20, 21, and 39. Lois has said she'll do any of them. I'm going to give her
all of 18,
19.
18, 19, 20, 21. Those are good for us.
18 also? I was going to do it 19, 20, and 21 because they're all stabilization.
Okay, so it was 18.
18?
Yeah, 18's right.
Yeah, that's very.
Okay.
Those are definitely on Lois's.
Okay, so Lois starts.
Back.
Lois was 18, 19, 20, 21. All right, and then the last one to be assigned is 39. And I'm going to give that to Suresh. I'll let him know.
Last year.
Okay.
Yeah, if Kazi, if I can reach Kazi, I'll have him work on the ones that I have, but otherwise, I think that's all covered. Okay, so the way it works, here you can see, here somewhere, okay. Okay, give me just a second. So write this down. Okay, Article 3 is Shri, that's meeting procedure. That'll be a tough one. Article 6 is Gerard. Article 7, 8 are Brian. Okay. Article 9 is Kathy. Article 10 is Peggy. Article 11 is Dawn. Article 12 is Kathy and Gerard. Okay. Article 13 is Eric and Pat. Article 14 is Eric and Pat. Article 15 is Eric and Pat. Article 16 is Eric and Pat. And you two decide how you want to do it. I think Pat wanted to do CPS and you do the regional. You two decide how you want to do it. Okay. Article 17 is Brian. Article 18 is no, that's going to be Lois.
Yeah.
That's what we
18 through 21.
18, 19, that's Lois. 20 is Lois. 21 is Lois. Article 22, Lindsay. That would be okay. That's OPEB.
Yeah.
That's LY. 23 is also OPEB. Lindsay, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Have you do 23. 39, I'm going to give to Suresh. Let's keep that.
That's 24.
Oh, that's right. It's 44, that's right. 44, that's you. Okay, never mind. That's correct. It's the page. 26 is Peggy, that's CPC. 29 is Harlan. 39 is, that's Suresh. 39 is Suresh.
Okay.
40 is Dawn, that's the light plant. And then 41 is Carlin, 43 is Carlin, 44 is Carlin, but these are all public works things. 45 is Carlin, 46 is Carlin. I'm gonna take that one, public works. I'm gonna take the PEG access one, and Ryan, I wanna talk about PEG access later on. Okay, that's okay, that's 47. Then 48, John, that's you, that's the BD Fitness Center, that's recreation. All right. He's nodding. Yes. Get that on record. 40 is Shri. That's yours.
49.
I misspoke. 49 is Shri, and 50 is going to be. That's the other one that you're taking, John. Right? Okay. All right. We have them all signed. Thank you all very much. Now, if at all possible, I'd like to have the write-ups within 48 to 72 hours after the public hearing when your article is being heard. And I don't want a whole lot of words because we have a limitation of space. The template kind of has what I'm looking for. So work with that and then let me know if you have issues.
And I think just to note for the new members, we're only looking for the recommendation. The estimated tax impact is a different exercise. So this assignment is just for the recommendation.
And Lindsay has volunteered to calculate the tax impact for the relevant articles. And I would appreciate if Lindsay will work with John on that to make sure that it's good. And also work with the finance department, make sure we know which ones actually do impact taxes, because some of them don't.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that covers all the assignments on this.
Great.
Oh, one more thing. My intention is to put this stuff together and let you folks see the whole product at some point here before we have to actually finalize it, so you can see what the whole report looks like.
Do you know when it's due?
We have to have it in by March 23rd. So our meeting of March 19 is a real good end date for finalizing the report.
Yeah. And I think you've already asked for some reviewer volunteers, so there will be a tight timeline on all of this. So just be prepared to meet some of Carlin's deadlines because she's operating under a tough deadline.
It's been fun. I have to admit, it really has been fun. But that's all that I have for this report.
Okay, fantastic. Any questions? Any questions online? Okay, all right. So I think that was our last meaty item for the night. So recap of to-do items.
If I will post the minutes, make sure that what's posted from.
I was going to try to capture things that we have to do, but I know we all have a lot of assignments for the report. But were there other items for follow-up? I don't think there were tonight. Okay. All right, great. So with that, I think we can move to adjourn. Do I need a second?
Second.
You don't go, just adjourn.
Just adjourn. Okay, so we're adjourned.
We have remote participants, it's okay? Sure. Okay.
Okay. All right, we're adjourned.
Yeah.
Aye.
Thanks, folks.
That's it. That's open ball.